All right, so we're going to talk about how to write a quadratic equation or expression from zero. So normally we would be given the quadratic equation and we would factor, we'd take each set of factors and solve for x, set them equal to 0 and solve, and then we would get something like x equals -3 and x equals +4. So now we're going to work backward. And so if I have that x equals a -3, then its factor, or what it is inside of its parentheses, would be x plus 3. And if I get that x equals 4, then its factor would be x minus 4. And so you remember that when we're solving and we factor and we get x plus 3, x minus 4, we take each of these, set it equal to 0, and the solution would just be the opposite sign. And so that's no different than what we're doing here. We're saying if the solution is -3, then that means its factor had to have been x plus 3. If the solution was a +4, its factor had to have been x minus 4. So now from here, we're just going to distribute. Remember, factoring is just undoing the distributive property. So now we're going to distribute. So x times x gets me x squared. X times -4 is a -4x. 3 times x is a +3x. And finally, 3 times -4 is -12. And this is equal to 0. Finally, just combine any like terms that we have. So we get that x squared minus a 1x minus 12 equals 0. So a -4 plus 3 is a -1. And so given that our original solutions were a -3 and a 4, meaning that's where it's going to cross the x-axis, our final answer would be our original equation would be x squared minus x minus 12. Now, let's take a look at number 2. So, one nice thing about the Moyes method is, again, if these are the opposite, if we had this parenthesis, if it's equal to a -1/2, then that means its factor was x plus 1/2. Over here, if we have a +4/5, then it's going to be x minus 4/5. So always just the opposite sign. The nice thing about the Moyes method is that it said, hey, if we have a denominator left over, we can just bring that out in front of our x. And so what we have is 2 times x plus 1 times 5x minus 4. So thanks to the Moyes method, we can get this a lot easier in faster or fewer steps. Now we just need to distribute like before. So 2x times 5x is a 10x squared. 2x times a -4 would be a -8x. 1 times 5 is going to be +5x. And then 1 times -4 would be -4. Now from here I have a -8x and a +5x. So when I combine those together, I get a -3x and then minus 4. So this is all equal to 0 technically because it's an equation and I had solutions. And so given that our original solutions would cross the x-axis at -1/2 and at 4/5, the original equation would have been 10x squared minus 3x minus 4.